Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into this video on the Zenware channel. So today we're going to talk about temples, okay, or churches or mosques, okay, or synagogues, okay, places of worship, okay. So the importance of places of worship, okay. There are many different types of places of worships depending on the culture, faith, tradition, religion, okay. I'll even say species, okay. There are different places of culture, of cultural importance, spiritual importance, religious importance, where people go. So we can think about places of importance as well. Okay, places of importance where people go, and the importance of these places as places of transformation. Okay, so also known as kshetrams. Okay, in Hinduism, for example, places of transformation. So places where you go and you can be transformed. Okay, where things are different. Okay, a place where things shift. Okay, so think about that very important shift. Okay, and what is shift? Okay, look at it a little bit this way. When you're in a place of transformation like that, maybe you'll notice things are different. Okay, maybe it feels different. The atmosphere of the place feels different. Okay, you might be sensitive enough to notice that. You might be sensitive and also to notice the energy around the place potentially. Okay, you might be also able to, depending on your personal development as a spiritual being on the spiritual path and your attainments, and as you've grown and developed, you may be able to actually tune into that shift or even contribute to that shift, right? The importance of temples. A lot of important temples, for example, we're going to talk specifically about potentially Shiva temples. Okay. So there's a lot of important Shiva temples in India. Okay, but not only in India. That's the interesting thing. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the important temples in India. You know, temples such as Chidambaram Temple, right? A very important temple, or Kailash Temple, right, in near Aurangabad. Okay, or very important temples like the Temple of Kal Bhairav in Varanasi and Benares and Kashi, or the Kashi Vishwanath Temple, or any of the Jyotirling temples. Okay, there's a lot of important places. Okay, for many different reasons, but there are very important places and other places. So today in this video, we're going to talk about two very important temples that are extremely powerful and that are not in India. Okay, so these two temples are extremely powerful. Okay, and they've been consecrated and energized by different people. Okay, including myself. Okay, as I've gone to these temples, I contributed to the consecration of the spaces. Okay, so two of these very important places are in Ottawa, Canada, okay, which is just across the bridge from Gatineau, where I stay on the Quebec side. And these are the two temples that I worked on, okay, and that I actually go to when I can. So these two very important temples are the Ottawa Sivan Temple and the Ottawa Hindu Temple, the Hindu Temple of Ottawa. Okay, and they're for different reasons. So I'm going to recommend these temples for different reasons. Okay, the Ottawa Sivan Temple is a great place to go. Okay, a very, very, very powerful shetram. Okay, a very good place to go to sit, to meditate, right, and to look at everything when you're in stages of practice and you're learning. Okay, perhaps in initial stages of practice or even more advanced stages, to go and learn, and you look at all the different objects within the temple and the setup and the layout of the temple within it. It looks like just a house when you look at it from the outside, but when you get inside, you feel the power. You understand the power of the place. Okay, it's in a very important location, and also the presence of Kal Bhairav is extremely powerful at this temple. Extremely powerful. He is very present in this temple. Kal Bhairav is definitely a powerhouse of the temple. Okay, so the Ottawa Sivan Temple, a great place to go to sit and to look at all the different things and all the different objects within the temple are very important to meditate on, to understand, um, to understand more about the divine. Okay, that's a very important temple. Many very important spiritual events in my journey as an avatar of Shiva took place at this temple. So the Ottawa Sivan Temple, in the middle of nowhere. You have to have a car to get there, and very important place. Very important. Some very 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 advanced yogic sadhana practices have been practiced there, at least by myself. And it's a very powerful place and was already a very powerful place. The next one is the Ottawa Hindu Temple. Okay, the Ottawa Hindu Temple. Oh, and just to get back to the Sivan Temple, if you can get them to play the music, right, when you go there, it's an experience, a wonderful experience. The Ottawa Hindu Temple, also a very important temple. Many yogic processes have taken place there. A shatram of importance, of very very strong importance. At the Ottawa Hindu Temple, all the deities are very strong there, very strongly present there. It's just shatram of extreme importance, and it's also the court, if you will, in the way of the deities and everything, how it's working. So it's a very important and consecrated space. Okay, so when you get to the Ottawa Hindu Temple, many deities there. You know, the ones that this temple is very important because there's two things that are specifically very important about the Ottawa Hindu Temple, is that Durga is extremely powerful at this temple. Okay, Durga is the Murti of Durga is extremely powerful. She is extremely present at this temple, and is stunning. Okay, life changing experience. Okay, to go get darshan of a Durga at this temple. Okay, another thing that's very important about this temple. Okay, is that there's a wheel there. Okay, so what is a wheel? Okay, a wheel is, in this case, it's in front of the Murti of Nataraja. There's a Nataraja statue there, okay? And there's a wheel in front, okay? So you can actually change your whole life, okay, by entering the wheel and turning there. Okay, so this is a very important temple. Okay, so what you do is you go in front after having done the tour of all the deities. You finish before going to Navagrahas. You finish with the Nataraja, and you get to the Nataraja. And when you're in front of the Nataraja, you know, ask the Nataraja to push you into the right direction in your life, to change your life. Okay, so what you do is you enter the wheel of the Nataraja there. So what you do is you put yourself in a namaskar, for example, and you turn in a circle. Okay, and you turn the appropriate amount of times. Okay, and with more advanced practice, as you develop as a spiritual being, eventually you develop a telepathy where you can communicate with the deities and you can communicate with the Nataraja, and he'll instruct you how many times potentially to turn or how many times you need to turn, and you can actually have a conversation with the deities when you get to those more advanced levels of spiritual practice. But until you can have that, until you are at that level where you can converse with them, well, you have to develop yourself as a spiritual being to get to those levels, and have faith in the meantime, and put yourself and your devotion and show bhakti towards them. So in this case, for example, in this place here, there's a wheel at that temple. So what you do is you go in front of the Nataraja, you turn, and then you step out of the turn, right? And Nataraja will basically push you and change your life and touch your life, and you'll emerge and you'll change your circle, change your cycle of your life. You'll emerge in a different way, pushed by Nataraja. So you wanna definitely make sure you're very humble and thankful for that, because very powerful God here. We're talking about God redirecting you in life, and and you put your faith that God's going to redirect you in the right direction. But sometimes the Nataraja is a bit unforgiving. Okay, in that sense, very caring, but also, very serious in that sense. So it's a very serious moment when you get to that wheel, when you get there at that temple, and you basically put yourself in the hands of Nataraja, and you basically have your moment face to face with God at that point, at that wheel there. Okay, so very important temple there, very important place of transformation, and a very important place also to sit down there as well, to sit down and meditate there as well. A very, very beautiful place, and it's beautiful on Mahashivaratri. A very, very, very beautiful place to attend. So this video on the next day, I was there yesterday for Mahashivaratri, right? And there was even a wedding, so that's great. It was a beautiful a wedding of Durga, so it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Mahashivaratri 2024. And it was great to catch up with the deities and to visit their place of residence there. So, very important temples, okay? As important as the temples in India, okay? Very, very, very important temples, those two temples in Ottawa, okay? And, Ottawa is a very important kshetram because it is the place and residence of an avatar in this cycle of creation. Uh, right, the area around it, Gatineau, Ottawa area. Okay, and the temples there are extremely powerful and have seen very advanced practices. So they are very powerful kshetrams, very important zones of transformation. So I highly recommend going to visit these two temples. Okay, once again, you'll need a card to go visit any of these temples, and especially the Ottawa Stephen Temple is really in the middle of a field essentially. But very important temples, very important places to visit, and you know, when you visit these temples, the first time, be humble, be respectful, you know, and also every single other time. So, just wanted to talk a little bit about these temples to show that there's other temples outside of India that are extremely important, extremely powerful places. Okay, very important kshetrams, very important in the master story. And these temples, two of these temples are in Ottawa, in the Ottawa area. And they're places that I'm very fond of and are really wonderful places of transformation that have been very important in my journey, my story as well. So a little video on this, on temples, on zones of transformation, and how there are very important kshetrams in even in across the ocean from India, if you want to see it that way. Thanks for listening.